for now, we have potential developments. Potential developments. Let's put it this way. And I want to show you a tweet that has come out from Keith Downey, who's a Newcastle-based journalist for Sky Sports. And he has an exclusive here, Jan, that we should just read through. Newcastle have agreed a fee with Stuttgart to sign striker Nick Woltemade. And until today, unless I'm mistaken, you probably saw the same as I did, there was talk about Nicholas Jackson, a different Nick altogether, and Newcastle. And maybe that could still happen. Maybe it's going to be two. They have agreed a package of £60.5 million plus 4.5 million in add-ons. Apparently, that rounds up to, would you believe, 80 and 80, or something like 85 million euros or something like that. It's quite a lot. This has been confirmed with both Newcastle sources and sources in Germany. According to Downey, the German international will travel to the northeast for a medical tomorrow. Jesus Christ, Jan. They finally got one over the line after a lot of the summer spent being completely inept. This looks like it's close.
Well, they've certainly been inept in terms of trying to find a replacement for either Callum Wilson or for Alexander Isak. I think they've done quite well for some of the other business that they've done. But yeah, this looks like a breakthrough. What would that mean? I don't know. I mean, there was always a feeling that, people said, Newcastle would have to find two strikers before they were prepared to sell. Maybe they got a bit more faith in the boy that came on the other night and scored, Musula. Although last week he was on his way to Leverkusen, so I don't quite know what the thinking is behind that one. But of course, this can only be good news because nobody's happy with the situation now. And I think maybe Eddie Howe's played a big part in this, where he's gone, listen, let's think about Newcastle. Yeah, let's bury this thing about Alexander Isak. He wants to go, let him go. As long as we get what we want and we can get a strike or two in, and we'll just move on because it's just unsatisfactory, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be. I think that's a really good shout. Eddie's got a bit of stick because of the old nepotism scenario going on there at the club. My take on it is that if they had someone who had a little bit more cachet, perhaps this wouldn't be quite the problem it seems to be. To get those big name strikers, I agree with you. Some of the other business has been good. But getting the big strikers in, you're going to require that added, like I say, a little bit of pulling power. And I'm not sure that manager particularly has that. Regardless, if they have gotten one done, you asked me a question before we went live. Do you think one would be enough? Would this Woltemade guy, he was very highly rated and was being linked with everyone from Bayern to you name it. Do you think that would be enough for them? Because they were making a lot of sounds, like you say, about needing to replace both Isak and Wilson. And this is assuming the Isak thing now goes through on the back of a big amount of money out. Would that be enough to trigger it, do you think, that to finally get this Isak thing moving?
I definitely think it will help. The next hurdle to get over is the fee, isn't it? I think if Newcastle had got two players in, I think we'd have got him for a fee that we were comfortable with. The fact that they've only got one in might just make the price for Isak a little bit, maybe another 10 or 15 million on top. But what this might allow Newcastle to do, let's say they sold Isak to Liverpool, they would have to buy a replacement. Now they bought they bought another striker in, but also think now that it would be okay for them now to go out in the loan market and maybe loan somebody as well. I don't think they could have done that without buying somebody permanent. But I think now they can go, well, okay, we got Nick Woltemade in, and now we can go and maybe take somebody on loan for 12 months, and they would get away with it that way, as long as whoever that loan player is a big enough name to satisfy people, isn't it? But I just think that it appears that everybody's ready to do that now, isn't it? Look at the silence from the Newcastle owners and the owner group since Monday night. We've heard nothing, isn't it? They've kind of gone back and gone, okay, we'll leave it to the people up at Newcastle to get this deal done. Let's just get it done, and we need to get somebody in. I was amazed. I was going to say desperation, but they were desperate, weren't they? Looking at you paying 55, 60 million for Jurgen Strand Larsen. That's a big fee, isn't it? I even think it's a big fee for the boy here, isn't it? But there is a certain amount of desperation involved in this.
There was similarly massive money being mentioned for Nicholas Jackson, and I think the reason why people thought that might be done, and that was the story earlier today, the reason people thought that might be done on the back of Strand Larsen, I think that deal falling apart at the last minute, like so many of them have, people thought it would happen because Jackson himself would be keen on the move. I guess there could be a world, Jan, God knows they're not short of a few spare pounds, where maybe Jackson and Woltemade come in. That's, I guess, possible, right?
Yeah, it is possible. I mean, I think they would try everything to get into, but they can also maybe just about live with if it's only one. As I said before, we mentioned the boy Wasula who came on, and he also says that there's some of the wide attackers that they have who can potentially play through the middle. But it's kind of they've kind of created some of this themselves, haven't they? So if they have to make short-term solutions, that's their problem, isn't
it? It sure is. Imagine a world where we have a tough at the top headache, and finally, after all the palaver, Alexander Isak does arrive at Anfield. It's fair to say, isn't it, that regardless of, I don't know if you've ever been in a position where you were training solo, rehabbing an injury or something like that, it's fair to say that it's nowhere near the same, is it? And I think people would want to cool their jets, because even if we do get the Alexander Isak deal over the line, it's likely to be a good few weeks before we see him, isn't it, on a regular basis, certainly starting.
Yeah, I mean, what would help him is the couple of international games he's been picked for Sweden, where you can see him, maybe getting half an hour in the first game and maybe 45 minutes in the second game. So that would be a big help. But yeah, it is every chance that we're going to be looking towards the back end of September before. And it's also important, Trevor, because this is obviously going to be a British record. It's also important that you show the player to the public when he's ready, isn't it? And there's no need for us to get desperate and go, we need you. We're okay, we've got other players, so we'll take our time, and when you're ready, bang. Because even for Alexander Isak, he still has to announce himself to the Liverpool crowd. Yes, we understand what he's done at previous club and what he's done at Newcastle and Sweden. Well, you want to see that in your shirt, isn't it? So he'll equally be under big pressure. So I think Arne Slot will be quite sensible and go, now he's ready, and that will unleash him.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the idea that it might be difficult for him, even big record fee and all as he is, to get into the team because of how Ekitike is doing. And, it is fair to say that he's made a really very good impression. Irrespective of whether you think he's been really good in the games, and I think it's hard to argue that he's been anything but good in the games. His hold-up play is decent, his movement is good. I like his mentality. There was at one point there, I think he was coming off the field, he was getting pushed and shoved around by all the fake hard men in the Newcastle midfield, including Guimaraes and others. And he's just shrugging it off. He seems to have a brilliant mentality. He was just sneering at them. He's like, I've done my job. I'm really liking the cut of his jib, and I have to say, I think he's made a great start.
So I spoke to our colleagues from French TV, Canal Plus, before the game on Monday, and their co-commentator is a ex-Liverpool player, Bruno Giroud. And I just said, what do you make? He said, you know what, Jan, you know what his biggest strength is? He's a generous striker, he said. And I understand fully what he means, which means he isn't selfish. He's a generous striker. He runs away in the name of the team. He does work for the team. It's not important for him to finish the season with 30 goals. It's important for him, for the team to do well because of his work. So I kind of like that explanation. He's a generous striker, and he plays like that. I have to say he plays like a very generous striker, because you get other strikers, don't you? You want it all, They want it all. They want to take corners and penalties and free kicks, and they want to score all the goals, and they only celebrate when they score. he's a general striker, and I like that description.
That's lovely. That's a nice bit of inside info as well from someone who's watched him closely. We will keep going